Well, welcome back, my friends. Today we are breaking down something that trips a lot of buyers and sellers, and that would be closing costs. Who pays for what? What does the lender charge? And what are all those little fees that the title company's charging us for? Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. And let's start off, what are closing costs? These are all the fees and expenses that you pay at the end of your real estate transaction to transfer ownership to the buyer from the seller. Okay, they typically range somewhere between 2 to 5% of the purchase price, depending on the type of loan, the local taxes, and the service provider. So a lot of this stuff comes into play, so keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about who pays for what here in Central Ohio. Buyers typically pay the lender's fee, the appraisal, your credit report, and title insurance, which is the lender's policy. I'll explain that later. Recording fees and prorated property taxes for their share of the years. I'll go into that into another video. That's a whole big issue there. And some title company settlement fees. The seller typically pays for the real estate agent's commission. This has changed a little bit, so please reach out with questions about this. I'll go into more detail for that as well. The owner's title insurance policy, half or all of the title company's settlement fees. This is a negotiated line, so this could be either or. Prorated property taxes, like I said, we'll get into that later. But also any agreed credits that we negotiated to go to the buyer. Hey, I am Annette Marble, your favorite key realty agent in and around Central Ohio. All right, now let's go ahead and zero in a little bit more on the lender fees. When you get a loan, your lender usually charges you an orientation fee. It's often between 0.5% to 1% of the loan, an underwriting fee, a credit report fee, a flood certification fee, even if you're not in a flood zone, the appraisal fee. They may also collect some prepaid items like your homeowner's insurance and your first year property taxes, which goes into your escrow account. That is if you're putting your taxes insurance in your monthly payment. All right, next let's talk about the title company fees. In Ohio, the title company plays a big role in closings. Their fees can include the title search, checking ownership of the history, title insurance, the owner's policy usually paid for by the seller. The lender's policy is paid for by the buyer, settlement and closing fees, and paying staff to handle some paperwork, documentation, and prep fees, the wire and the courier fees. So that's a lot. So who pays for all these? Well, it depends on your local and how realtors negotiate for you on your part. Sellers for the pay the owner's policy, and the buyers typically pay for the lender's policy. So the good news is it all comes, it just all comes and it's all spelled out for you on a closing statement. As a buyer, your lender must give you a loan, an estimate of what your fees will be early in the loan process. Before closing, you'll get a closing disclosure with those final numbers, and those kind of have to coincide pretty close. As a realtor, I'll help you review everything line by line so there's no surprises. So if you're buying or selling in Ohio and you want to know exactly what your closing costs might be, reach out anytime. I can help you with that. I'd be happy to help you navigate the process with some confidence and keep more money in your pocket, hopefully. So please don't forget to like and subscribe and drop your questions in the comments below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And as always, we're keeping it real here in real estate with Annette Marble and Associates.